Hey everyone, this is Fabio and welcome back. And today it's going to be interesting because this is going to be my first rant video. I usually don't do them because I guess I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I'm not very angry. Um, but this time I couldn't help it. I saw something yesterday night that really hit a nerve and really annoyed me. And I know I shouldn't be wasting my time on this, but I couldn't help it. I need to get it off of my system, and I just wanted to share my frustration with you guys. You're welcome. And basically, yesterday night before going to sleep, I was looking on my Facebook account, all of that, and on a page dedicated to RPG games and stuff like that, those fan groups and all of that, someone posted one of those best of all time lists made by I don't know if it's a journal or if it's just an online, like a website. So the best 50 RPGs ever, and the journal is this VG 24/7. Never heard of them, which is already a good sign, I guess. But I'm not that. I'm not like wasting all my waking hour looking at video games websites. So maybe apparently they've been around since 2008. They've been polluting the gaming community for more than 10 years. So they made this best RPGs of all time, a top 50, and I was like, okay, here we go. But this list really annoyed me. I know, as I said, I shouldn't wasting my time on this. I shouldn't be angry because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just personal opinion. Not entirely with this list. That's the problem. But my opinion against them. I mean, I don't care about these journalists and their half-assed sort of knowledge of the genre and again opinions at the end. But when I read this list, at the end of it, I was really annoyed by it because, as I said, usually I don't give a shit about these lists. Because I remember, like, I think it was last year or something like that, and on the Edge magazine, there was an article about like the 100 greatest games of all time. I was like, here we go. Obviously, half of the list was a joke, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. But this is different because this is about RPGs. That is my genre. RPGs are my thing. I spend 90% of my gaming time playing RPGs. And to see something like this, some shitty list like this, which it's almost an insult for someone like me. And as I said, it really struck a nerve. And because the thing is, first and foremost, like most of these lists, this was so predictable. I mean, they were just ticking all the boxes of the shit list. Like, for example, it's filled with Western RPGs. Check. Skyrim, it's in the top 10. Check. I'm surprised that Skyrim wasn't at number 1. It's at number 2. Spoiler. But there you go. And which also, let's clarify something, the whole Western RPG thing. Naturally, as you know, I'm a JRPG guy, but still, to see so many crappy Western RPGs taking the place of like amazing JRPGs really annoyed me. And also at the end of it, like the top 10 was just a bunch of lols, was a joke. Remember on that page where the list was posted, all the comments were like this basically. Most of them were just like, fuck this list. Or I remember one to say like the top 10, it was they were writing the top 10 on drugs, so I'm not even bothering comment. I don't want to comment either. But we should be comment because some abomination like this should not exist. Because the issue is, at least my personal issue with this best of list, this journalistic list, there are two things that really annoys me. First and foremost, they don't work. Plain and simple. And why is that? In my opinion, because they try to combine elements that don't fit well together. Because they are trying to be objective, like to have this journalistic and serious look at it. So I don't know, a game is entirely based on its impact, historical significance, and that stuff like that. But also they try to put, it's clear when they try to put some personal preferences here and there. The two things don't work together. It's like mixing oil and water. They just don't stay together. Now, if you want to look at a good best RPG list, for example, just look on YouTube from us gamers, from all of you guys. I've seen some amazing lists out there, even though naturally each and every one of us has personal tastes, but that's the point. That's the beauty of this list. But because they're from a personal perspective, I'll put in the link in the description down below a link to an amazing list that was made by EmperorFoxx some time ago. That list was amazing. I'm also going to put this piece of shit in the description, so if you have time to waste and want to like have a laugh, just look at it, because it's pretty entertaining, I have to say. And second, the reason why I'm annoyed by this list, I was saying, like the predictability, the fact that they have elements, they don't work together. So really, really annoying. And yeah, there are just some instances in which I was like, what the hell are they thinking by putting like there's also like a very confusing at times, like and sometimes it seems they don't even know what they're talking about. And that's the second big thing I want to talk about, like that really annoys me with this list, because putting this list together, it's these people's job. They're paid to do a list like this. They're paid to talk about RPGs. Like, that sounds like a dream job to me. But if this is the result, I mean, you have one job, as it said. So, as I said, it's at times it's like the reasoning is just laughable. It's obvious sometimes with this sort of like experts lists, when they try to like act like experts. So there's like some comments or some series that no one gives a shit about anymore, like some old obscure Western RPG list, but it's much better apparently than phenomenal JRPGs. Naturally, okay. As I said, I'm a JRPG person, so you might simply argue against me that, oh, you're just a fanboy, you don't know what you're talking about, deal with it, Western RPGs are better. Well, I can say the same thing on reverse. I personally think that Western RPGs are much inferior to JRPGs in the grand scheme of things. So there you go. And again, at the end of the day, it's just my personal opinion. I'm reading this list, so I'm annoyed because I think there were at least, just like yesterday thinking, while I was like brushing my teeth, like, at least 15 fantastic JRPGs and between games, individual games and series are not on this list. But we have Bard's Tale, and very far ahead on the list. I mean, who the fuck cares about Bard's Tale anymore? So, I mean, I can just give you some examples of amazing games that are not on this list for reasons that are beyond my comprehension. Why Nier and Nier Automata are not there? Where is Fire Emblem? Where is Lunar? Where is Golden Sun? Where is where's Ease? There's no Ease. Where is Shadow Hearts? Parasite Eve. I was just looking at some titles here. So many. But yet we have Bard's Tale. So they clearly know what they're talking about. And if someone dares saying that you don't know what you're talking about, Bard's Tale is the greatest RPG series of all time, fuck you. So, I mean, I'm surprised though. I give what the fuck are they called? VG247 some credit, because they put some list that I'm surprised they acknowledge, like, there's Legend of Dragoon there. I mean, it's better be there, for fuck's sake, but most people will even acknowledge these games, especially like from a Western point of view. Most people would just dismiss certain JRPGs. So there's Legend of Dragoon at number 47. It's barely there. Oh my god, but it's fine. There's let's see. Well, we have Legend of Dragoon at number 47. We have Anachronox at number 41. I mean, yes, I guess you just wanted to go for a sort of hidden gem, which no one gave a shit about. Again, I know what Anachronox is, but it's not better than Legend of Dragoon, or it shouldn't be on this list. I'm sorry. This is what also annoys me, when this kind of list wanted to go for like the niche games, want to show that they know what they're talking about. So number 41, Anachronox. Number 40, Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel 2 at number 40. I was like, oh my fucking god. And then I love the attention to details of these guys. That's from this moment, I couldn't take this list seriously, and that's a problem. They're talking about Legend of Trails of Cold Steel 2, and in each entry there is like a small image of the game they're talking about. And talking about Legend of Cold Steel, I'm so annoyed that I'm mixing the titles. Talking about Trails of Cold Steel 2, there is this lovely picture of Trails in the Sky second chapter. Know your fucking games. It's your job. So, my god. Yeah, I'm surprised they acknowledge Breath of Fire. I mean, again, it's barely there. It's number 35. But again, some entries also, they're so confusing. I guess they're writers. They don't know JRPGs very well. Because if you put, it's just a mess. You put Breath of Fire, I guess you're talking about Breath of Fire 1, which is surprising as an entrance in a top JRPG list. Because I love Breath of Fire 1, of course, but it's not the best of the series. But then of course, there is a draw. The image is Breath of Fire 5, which I would be very surprised to see that in an official best of list. But in reality, they really talk about Breath of Fire 3, so it's very confusing. I mean, again, they probably have no idea what they're talking about. Where is it? Okay, one thing that also really annoys me. At number 29, which is insulting, it's Xenoblade Chronicles. I mean, that game, no matter if you prefer Western RPGs, JRPGs, if you have any sort of seriousness in what you're talking about, Xenoblade Chronicles is a mandatory top 10 game. There's no escaping that. But of course, it's so confusing. I mean, there's a big picture of Xenoblade Chronicles X. It says Xenoblade Chronicles, so I'm expecting the game on the Wii and the 3DS. But they're talking mostly of the Xeno series. So they're mentioning Xenogears, Xenosaga, the two Xenoblade Chronicles, and also like they're saying that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is not very good, so who cares about that? Which a lot of people would argue against that. But again, I mean, do you even know the importance of Xenoblade Chronicles? I mean, that it's a mandatory game on a top 10, not just because it's first and foremost it's really fucking good, but because it's important. I mean, this is, I would say, it's very debatable what I'm about to say, but I think if you want to take it as, like, as I say, historical relevance point of view, this is probably the most important JRPG of the 2010s, I would say, the last decade. Because it came out during a period of the RPG drought, JRPG drought on main console. So you didn't see huge JRPGs on the PS3, Xbox 360, or the Wii. But all of a sudden we got Xenoblade, and that was insane to have a game like that on a home console, because naturally JRPGs survived and thrived on a handheld system like the DS, 3DS, PSP, PS Vita. You got phenomenal games there. But remember, like, during the PS1, PS2, those two generations were defined by the RPGs. Then, of course, since gaming has this sort of up and downs, the industry, there's one genre, one day it's on the top of the world, and then there is a sort of a downhill, but it's just the market, it's normal. So JRPGs were at its lowest since the PS2 basically, and all of a sudden you had a game like Xenoblade. Something like this has to be acknowledged, but also because when they're talking their fucking nonsense about why Skyrim is the great, they're rubbing their dick with Skyrim and say that it's the greatest RPG of all time because it's very big, you can do a lot of things. So does Xenoblade. I mean, for what I understand, Xenoblade Chronicles X, it's bigger than Skyrim. It's bigger than their fucking number one, which is The Witcher. I mean, The Witcher? So, yeah. But then again, the confusion, they don't know what they're talking about. Very, very annoying. Again, like, to see a game like Titan Quest at number 26, I love that game. It's a fun Diablo clone at the end of the day. But why is it so far ahead than Xenoblade Chronicles? It shouldn't, I mean, it shouldn't be on the top 50. Maybe it could be a number 49. But then again, they have to put some hidden gems here and there. Shadowrun's on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, I guess it's a fun game, but who cares about Shadowrun anymore? And I think they're conveniently ignoring its last entry in the series, which was an awful, awful first-person shooter thing. And yeah, I mean, I'm surprised for. Oh, okay, this is another good one. At number 16, which I can understand because I love this series, like Knights of the Old Republic. But again, the confusion that's, and also especially, they didn't have the balls to back up their own ideas, their own preference, because it's clear that they wanted to put Knights of the Old Republic 2, but the masses would disagree with them. They would be submerged by comments saying, what the hell are you talking about? Knights of the Old Republic 1 is the best. Which, 2, it's also very good. There are some good things, but it's a buggy mess. It's not a very good technical game. But it's clear they wanted to stress the fact that in terms of characters and the overall storyline, Knights of the Old Republic 2, according to some, it's debatable, it's better than the first one. But they didn't tell it specifically. They just put the generic Knights of the Old Republic, like the entire series, and then in a paragraph they start talking how Knights of the Old Republic 2 is their actual choice. So grow some balls, people. Another one, like number 15, Dragon Age Origins. I have to be honest, I don't see why people are so obsessed with Dragon Age. I mean, I played a good chunk of it. I don't see it. I don't understand why people think it's a masterpiece. It's a nice tribute and spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate, sure, but it's that just the reason why it's so highly praised? Because it's not that special, I think. I like it. I like what I play, but I don't think it should be this, like, 15, the best 15 RPG ever made. No, sir. You got Earthbound and Chrono Trigger, the mandatory Super Nintendo games. I'm surprised Persona 5 is outside the top 10, to be honest. I mean, if you're going to go for, like, the, again, journalistic point of view, Persona has to be in the top 10. I mean, it's the... Together with Final Fantasy, it's kind of the most mainstream JRPG series. You can ignore that. It's a hugely popular franchise. But number 12, that's surprising. And then, of course, the top 10 is just a joke. It's a bunch of lols, I think. As I said, there was this guy saying that they were on drugs when they've written down the top 10 because, again, naturally, it's heavy Western RPG dominated by Western RPGs. And basically, there are 2 JRPGs, 7 Western RPGs, and a Zelda game. I mean, I'm always surprised to see Zelda in the top RPG list because for the only and last time, Zelda is not an RPG. I know that's an entire controversy debate, but Zelda is not an RPG. Deal with it. And but it's a sort of unwritten rule in the gaming community industry that every time you make a best of something video gaming related list, Zelda needs to be in the top 10, ideally in the top 3. But again, what is it Zelda has to do with RPGs? It's beyond me. Unless you want to put Zelda 2, which they put such a retarded comment there. Because Zelda 2 is the only proper RPG in the series, I would accept that. But if you put Zelda 2 in the top 5, people is gonna be furious because that's not a very good game in the grand scheme of things. Don't get me wrong, I like my Zelda 2, but it's one of the weakest Zelda games. But then again, they want to sound like they know their niche stuff. They are true expert. They want to put their personal opinions in there. And they put something like this. I love this quote. The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, is perhaps the most perfect of the early series. When I read that, I was like, what the fucking fuck are you talking about? As I said, I like Zelda 2. It's a decent action RPG version of the Zelda games, but again, the best of the earliest. I mean, have you even played Zelda? I mean, the first Zelda is infinitely better than Zelda 2, and Link to the Past, there's a reason why most people would say it's the best Zelda game, even better than Ocarina of Time, and I would agree with that personally. I think that's where the Zelda formula was perfected. So yeah. Other hilarious things. I mean, I'm surprised that Bloodborne it's simply number 9. I was expecting it in the top 3, to be honest. I like they put Diablo, the first one, as number 8, where I think Diablo is. Well, the series should not be in the top 10. Like, if you put Diablo instead of Persona, that's. I mean, you're not putting Persona, but you're putting Diablo 1. I can't. Like, what? And of course, like Diablo 2 is infinitely better than Diablo 1. And I haven't played Diablo 3, but a lot of people say that's the best. But they say, hey, Diablo 1 was a big success on PlayStation 1. Okay. Fallout New Vegas. What the hell is this doing here? Out of all the Fallout games, they put what people consider the worst? I know New Vegas has its fans, but no. Absolutely not New Vegas. I guess, again, they didn't want to go for the too mainstream and say just Fallout 4, because they just justified it by saying, like, Fallout 4 is too big, or something like some nonsense like that. I think Fallout 3 is better. Arguably, Fallout 1 and 2 are better than New Vegas. And say that if you want to go for the more obscure one, even though everyone knows the Fallouts. But again, how can you put New Vegas over 4? Fallout 4 is great, I'm sorry. Of course, we will never be free from that cancer that it's World of Warcraft, but I know it has its gigantic fan base, but that's just my personal opinion. Baldur's Gate, of course, it's going to be there. I think Baldur's Gate 2 is better, but that's just me. And this is what really annoyed me. At number 4, there's Mass Effect 2. Okay, first and foremost, I love the Mass Effect series. I played those games so many times. And Mass Effect 2 is fantastic. I finished that 5 or 6 times, some crazy nonsense like that. I just like finished the game and replay with a different Shepard, basically. But what is Mass Effect 2 doing in a top RPG list of all time? Because Mass Effect 2, it's not an RPG. It's a shooter with some RPG elements here and there. But that's it. I mean, but you can say, yeah, you level up in Mass Effect 2, but so in, I think, some Call of Duty games and Halo games, so you should put those in the list. If you want to put Mass Effect in an RPG list, you need to go for the real RPGs of the series, 1 and Andromeda. But of course, 1 is way inferior to 2 and 3. Well, 3 it's not going to be in any favorites list because we are supposed to hate that game, and not Andromeda. What is Mass Effect Andromeda? Even though that's like easily the best gameplay in the series, and again, it's one of the real RPGs out of that. So put one of those, not the shooters. So again, what are you talking about? And then Zelda, and of course, like number 2, Skyrim. They're just, as I said before, like just rubbing their dick with this game. I think it's massively overrated. It's a mediocre game at best. This is my personal opinion, of course, because I'm sure there are legions of fans of Skyrim. I think it's among the Elder Scrolls games I played. It's my least favorite by far. It's in both Morrowind. It's the best. Oblivion. It's then there is Oblivion, and finally Skyrim. To be honest, people say, oh, you can spend 200 hours in Skyrim, it's fantastic. Sure, I guess. I played 15, 20 hours and I was bored out of my balls. I just say, okay, I'm done with this boring game. Like, the gameplay sucks. I don't like first-person RPGs with sword and stuff. I can understand Fallout with a gun, but first-person RPGs, like in a traditional sense, so with swords and bow and arrows and stuff like that, no, I don't like that. The story in Skyrim is not that interesting. Like, technically, you can finish that game in like 12, 15 hours if you don't like just dick around, and I guess that's missing the point of this sort of games. But I don't know, just doing mindless quests for 200 hours sounds like a colossal waste of time, not just the reason why this game should be the best RPG of all time. It's just like the most mainstream, casual, and cop-out answer for the best game of all time. Skyrim, it's kind of the equivalent, it's the Western RPG equivalent of Final Fantasy VII for JRPGs, for the go-to best of all time for the mainstream. But it's different, because Final Fantasy VII, it's a truly very important game. Skyrim, it's not. It's just a big game that was very successful. That's good for Bethesda, I guess, but Final Fantasy VII, it's the game that started the JRPG boom. It's a game that defined a generation. It's what put JRPGs truly on the map in the West. So all of that should be to be acknowledged. And by the way, Final Fantasy VII, it's not on this list, which is fine by me because I'm not a biggest fan of that. But I mean, at least Final Fantasy IX, it's on the list, which I think it should be, but it's a number 10, so it's barely there. Then, yeah, as I said, like The Witcher, it's number 1, which is a joke. So yeah, I mean, this list is just it's just ridiculous. It's, as I said, I know it doesn't matter. It's just personal opinion. It's blah 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 blah, whatever you want. But again, if someone takes your favorite genre and put a list of, they're supposed to know what they're saying, and put out a list of the best of all time, and it just turns out to be a shitty list that makes no sense, and it's going to annoy you. I'm sorry, and I just wanted to get this out of my chest and do a little rant to see what the big fuss is about this rant video that everybody loves, apparently. Yeah, these are my 2 cents on this list. Maybe you'll think it's the greatest list of all time, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, that's true. I played, I'm sure I don't know, I just played like almost 30 years of RPG. I'm not claiming to be an expert in any sense, because there are a ton of games I haven't played, but this list was just a joke. And as I say, I try to stress the fact it doesn't matter. I know I'm not going to forget in the next couple of days because it's really annoying, but in a matter of days, it just doesn't matter. And most of the comments were either like dismissing this or like fanboys defending Skyrim, basically. It was hilarious. While on a serious JRPG forum, everyone was just dismissing it, as it should. I mean, as I said, I'll put it in the description down below so you can have a laugh. And definitely let me know what you think about it. If you, as I said, if you have some time to waste, or have a discussion on this serious issue of this official serious lists, which are, I think it's just at the end of the day clickbaits in a way, but when they start messing with your genre, it's annoying. It's really going to piss me off. So that's it. I'm going to stop talking and rambling about it because it's just bad for my blood pressure. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you next time, and take care.